Hello everyone and welcome to DBF1. It is season 8, round number 2. It's the second week of the season. We're here in Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. Last week we had a fantastic outing in Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Casper Klein somehow won the British Grand Prix after Jenga Boy ran out of fuel crossing the line on the final lap of the race after a strategy blunder. We're here for week number 2 of the season. Casper obviously leading the way in the championship on 25 points. The Audi of Kam Kemam, unlikely story on the podium. He's second in the standings on 21 points. And then the driver that came third is meant to be here, but not here at this current time. The Fat Man picked up 18 points to his championship chase, but that might be over already if he misses tonight. We're currently watching Kaya, and as Kaya's finishing his lap, I think he's first to set a lap. We will quickly run through the previous winners like we did last week. So the Mater won in Season 2, Alistair Bain won Season 3. Season 4, Lewis Craig picked up the win here. Darky in 5. We had a break in Season 6, and then it was Jenga Boy last time out in Season 7. And Acorn sitting the fastest lap in the Grand Prix, 31-4. Lewis Craig absolutely smashes that by a second. Kaya now getting a bit of airtime as he comes round the final curve in his Visa RB. What will it be for Kaya? It's a 32.8, so time to find for Kaya. Is anyone late on a lap? But yeah, I think Evil Dragon, who is making his F1 debut to dive bomb, 32.2. Evil Dragon 99 in the Aston Martin, of course. Evil Dragon, not new to Dive Bomb Sports. He's new to DBF1, but he featured across the Gran Turismo season and then picked up a podium as Josh joins the lobby. A DBF2 driver. Very quick, we've seen over the DBF2 season. Can he turn that into pace in F1? We'll have to wait and see. Kam Kemam out of battery in overtake mode already. As I'm Scottish Scott on the medium, 31.3. That means he would have to start the Grand Prix in the medium tyre if it finishes like that. And up we come now in straight mode. No battery for that Audi to play with at all. He's got the reserve of Chris W in the cockpit in the garage with him tonight in the Audi. Meant to be in the McLaren, but Sarangos a no-show so far. Needs to show up or he'll be receiving his first warning for no-show. Kamgate up on the run up to the line. It's the second row of the grid ahead of Deck by around about half a tenth of a second. Professor, 29.7, the first driver in the 29s. And here comes Daniel P. Wheelnut now in the Ferrari. What can he do on the run up now to the line? He's got loads of battery to play with, and it's a not really competitive lap time from Daniel. Maybe a mistake somewhere along the way. I think Cam Rules is the only driver yet to set a lap. Missed week 1, did Cam, but in the Cadillac, Tony had a good result. It was 10th on the road. He finished 11th after some stewards, but it's Cam up to the line. Second row of the grid from Cameron, and that is him in P3 ahead of Scottish Goat. Is there anyone else on a competitive lap time? We'll see. We'll stick with Daniel. I think Daniel's further along than anyone else. Car 52 in the Ferrari. Coming up the hill now to the hairpin. Brakes as late as he possibly can. Get rotation in the car. Earn some of that battery back as he goes through 200R now up to the spoon curve. We're on board now with the Ferrari using that battery, dumping it as much as he possibly can, and you can hear the car just not getting any quicker now as he goes through spoon curve in 5th gear down into 4th to get rotation and tries to use as much of the curve as he can to get into straight mode now. Daniel, this lap is looking fairly quick. We'll see what the split time is on sector 2. It's a 13.4. This looks competitive in comparison to his teammate who's in the other Ferrari. Daniel now, a bit more battery than Kam Kemam. Can he set a lap time in comparison to Kam K, the American driver? What will Daniel P. Wheelnut do round the last curve up to the line? It's only a 32.1, and that puts him just behind his teammate in the other Ferrari. I think Jordan was sort of the next quickest. He's on intermediates though. Just some practice runs for him. I think Chris is just about to finish his first lap of the season as a reserve this season. in DBF1 last year, towards the end of the season, in DBF2, won the Monaco Grand Prix in DBF2. So we know he's got some pace in that cockpit. What can he do on his test drive for the Audi into 7th place, splitting the Ferraris? The Audi and Ferraris are going to have an interesting season this season. They've been so, even with Sarangos, they were close together. And it looks like Audi versus Ferrari might be the battle to watch out for. Evil Dragon picked up 8th place. He's into the 31s now, so he'll be happy with that. I think Tony is the only other driver sort of on a lap as he comes through Spoon. Yellow flags in Sector 1. Drivers just coming out into the pit lane, trying to get out of each other's way. And Tony struggling for battery at the moment. He is coming up to 130R as he goes past the back stretch. Try to gain some battery into the Casio Triangle. Does earn a bit of battery. He'll get a tiny bit of straight mode that won't affect it too much. And he's into the top 10 is Tony. That's sort of Tony's benchmark. Get into the top 10. He was happy with the top 10. Obviously it was removed by the stewards. No fault of his own. Scottish Goat had a time penalty reduced from 10 seconds to 3. And that put him back ahead and into 10th place. Still some good points scored for Tony though. Jake now on his return to DBF1, missed last week, back this week. He was missed out season 7 of DBF1, returned for DBF2 and had a fairly decent few races, and then is back full time now in the top tier in the Aston Martin. Very good driver, respectable driver. We'll see what he can do on his first lap time back in the top level of Dive Bomb Sports as he comes through the Casio Triangle now, down the curve, round that final bend, and it is up into 32.2, but he must have invalidated. Yeah, he did. He invalidated his lap, so he's not improving on that. Deck now is on a lap. I think others are pushing as well. We'll see if anyone is further up on their lap. I think Daniel P. Wheelnut has a Cadillac ahead of him, but he's on a lap. We'll stick with Daniel, see what his lap time will be. And as Daniel just finishes his lap, we will get the stream shared quickly before we get into crunch time of this qualifying session. Daniel has had a lot of screen time so far, only 9th quickest. He did improve by 3.5 tenths. I think Acorn was on a lap as well. We'll watch the other Ferrari as he goes through Spoon. He's going to be the next of the runners. I think there is a Cadillac starting his lap coming up. I think that's Tony. But we'll see what Acorn can do. Through 130R, very smooth indeed. Has a bit of battery to play with. We'll see if this is anything competitive in terms of being on the front row of the grid. And it's the second row. It is P4 for the Ferrari at the moment. Cam K-Mam, he's not quite as far around. Is that Gamer James quite far around? Not improving. James, a reserve for the season, covering for Jess Games as she goes to the real-life British Grand Prix. And told James not to pee in her seat while she's away. But we'll see what James's time's going to be as he comes up to the line in the Red Bull. Doesn't find any time. Is anyone else close to completing a lap? I think that's Scottish Goat on a push lap here on the soft compound, the only driver to set a lap on the mediums at the moment. And as it stands, he'll still need to start on those mediums come the 27 lap Grand Prix. Might be a good tyre to start on, but we'll see now as Scottish Goat comes through. He's got at least 3 attempts to find to mount a challenge to Acorn, but on the soft compound you'd imagine that should be fairly easy for him, and he does. He finds 3 attempts and just gets ahead, but then Cam Rules knocks him. Cam K-Mam, sorry, knocks him out. The Audi moves up and he gets into the 30s, and he's only the 4th driver to get in that. Bevesser still the only driver in the 29s. Jake, I think Lewis Craig is far around. I think Acorn is on a further around, but I think he's going to come into the pit. So Lewis Craig getting his first bit of stream time on this lap. He's on the soft compounded tyres. Got loads of battery left, does Lewis. Not using that battery. We'll see. He's not going to be any competitive time because he's coming into the pits. I think Jenga Boy was quite far around as well, was he? This is going to be a medium tyre run for the last winner time out, and it's the second row of the grid. It's a Mercedes 1-2 provisionally here. Is Casper Klein on a lap? No, it's Gamer James, but he's not improving. I think Bavesser is on a lap though, as we'll quickly get to him. Not improving, no, he's invalidated. Scottish Goat finding time. I think he's got a Cadillac ahead at least. I think there's another Audi. I think that might be Chris just beginning his lap. We'll go back to Scottish Goat quickly. Pushing is Scottish Goat. Looks to be sort of in the ballpark. Oh, coming into the pits. Chris has just begun his lap. Tony beginning his lap. Jake on a run. I think. Yeah, it must be Jake that's furthest round. It's very confusing at the moment. But Jenga Boy, 30 flat on the medium compound. Is that enough to make him start on the mediums? We'll need to fill the car up with a bit more fuel as he begins the Grand Prix. Be interesting to see his lap time on the mediums in comparison. Lewis obviously invalidated his run or went slow. The top five, interesting though. Bavesser on pole, Jenga Boy second, Mercedes 1-2 provisionally, Lewis, Cam came up, and then Cam Rules. All in the top five, so they need to start on the tyre their best is set on, and that's what it's set to on the screen. So whatever it ends on that screen onto your left hand side, that's the tyre they'll begin on. And Tony not finding any time, Jake not finding any time. So I think it's Chris that's sort of the next driver up now. Bavesser might be. Yeah, Bavesser's not improving. So it is Chris as he comes through the spoon curve onto the back stretch. I have loads of battery in. It's not competitive either. This, I think that's it. Casper Klein, medium compounded tyres as he comes through 200R up to the spoon curve. The reigning champion. The race winner in round one somehow. Yellow flags in Sector 2, but that won't affect him like it affected Kimi Antonelli at the Austrian Grand Prix. Casper now through 130R. Save some battery into the Casio Triangle. Oh, and there's a bit of a moment there at the front of the car, but it should be okay for a competitive lap time is Casper, and it's provisional pole on the mediums by 0.2 of a second. Wow, what a lap time that was from the defending champion, making a statement. And it's closer up front than most would have imagined. 0.5 on a medium run is a big gap. Bavesser obviously set that lap time at the very beginning of this session, and with Casper not getting another run in, really, this is an opportunity for drivers to get ahead. Let's see, is Chris on a competitive lap time? Yes. Evil Dragon? No. Daniel P. Wheelnut is. So we'll watch Daniel, then we'll go to Chris. As Lewis Craig moves out of his way, Daniel P. Wheelnut got a bit of a toe. And using a bit of overtake mode. And now it's all about getting this part of the lap right. This is the moment for Daniel P. Wheelnut to improve on 11th place. And he goes into 7th position, and we'll quickly go to Chris, who's next up and improving by 1/10 through the first two sectors. How good has this sector 3 been from the Audi Reserve? Up into 8th, not able to manage to get ahead of Daniel P. Wheelnut again, so it's 7th and 8th at best for Daniel and Chris. And where on earth is everybody else? So Gamer James just beginning a lap. Evil Dragon up 0.8 of a second now. He's in 11th. So what will his lap time be? Can he mount a challenge to the top 5? 8th quickest. He splits Daniel and Chris. Is there anyone else really late on in a lap? I think Cam Rules in the Cadillac, who's 6th place at the moment, trying to get back into the top 5 and confirm that he will begin the race on the soft compound, and it's 4th place. He knocks the Audi Camke out. And well, this is getting spicy towards the end here. Jengaboy Beves are beginning their laps. Lewis Craig up in there as well. I think other drivers are finishing their laps. I think Kaya's improved, but not on position. Gamer James early on. I think Lewis Craig might be next up. Yeah, it is Lewis Craig. There was a Cadillac there. I think that was Tony. We'll try figure it out towards the end of the session, but it is definitely Lewis Craig coming through the final curve to see what his last lap time will be. It's 4th place at best for Lewis Craig. Is there another Audi? Calm came on 6.5 tenths up. So I think it is Gamer James that's going to be next to cross the line and set a lap time. So we'll stick with James and see what he can do in that second Red Bull seat. Oh, and he's invalidated. Jordan was on a lap on the soft tyres just behind, and then he's got Casper Klein behind him. Jordan, what will his lap time be? 4th place from ERT Jordan. Casper doesn't improve. And we've got Jenga Boy coming up to line. He's on the mediums again and finding time. Can he mount a challenge to his teammate? Only 3rd quickest, but he gets into the 29s. Bevesser, provisional pole, 29.4. And it's on the softs, which means he begins the race on the soft compound. And Kamke next up. Can he get into the top 5? No, he cannot. I think it's only Tony left who's not finding any time. Doesn't find any time. Kaya, definitely not finding any time there. Bevesser picks up his first ever pole position in DBF1. Congratulations to the Mercedes driver on the soft compound, so he will have to start on that tyre. It's Casper in second on the mediums. Jenga Boy in 3rd on the mediums as well. Jordan in 4th on the softs. Lewis Craig rounds out the top 5 in the softs as well. So a bit of split strategy from the quicker drivers. Lewis couldn't quite get that lap. Just connected. Cam Rules on the softs on his debut. Cam came on the softs as well in 7th. They'll get free tyre choice. Good qualifying from Evil Dragon in his debut as well. I think Deck will want an improvement on 12th place, especially after his finish last week. And as we have a break in the action, we'll have the lobby reset. So they'll get on the grid, they'll retire, and then we'll get the grid redone. And then we'll go again for 27 laps of the Japanese Grand Prix. I will see you when we get going again on the grid for the race. So, the calm before the storm. We are on the grid now as we're about to get underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. This is round 2 of Season 8 coming your way in the next minute or so. 27 laps. Jenga Boy and Casper starting in the top 5 on the medium compounder tyre. This is the first race of the season. We're going to see that come into effect. The top 5 all have to start the race on the compound they set their best lap time in qualifying on. So that means Bevesser, Jordan and Lewis will all start in the softs. Everyone under 6th or below, basically, they can start on whatever they please. And the penalty is pretty much being disqualified from the Grand Prix. The stewards have no leniency when it comes to this rule. So if Casper or Jenga start in anything other than the mediums, they'll be disqualified, whether they win, DNF, anywhere. And it's the same for Lewis, Jordan, and Bevesser. They must start the Grand Prix on the tyre they set the best lap on in quali to try and spice things up at the front of the grid. It was interesting to see Jenga Boy. You think Jenga Boy and Casper could go quicker on the softs, but they took the risk and they got second and third. And you'd probably say if they can avoid getting overtaken on the start by Lewis and Jordan, they're on for a good result and they can put the pressure on Bevesser early once his tyres fair go. If he can not hang on to those soft tyres, they will go quickly. And Ferrari have seemed to have forgotten their hard compounded tyres for the Grand Prix for Deck. So Deck's going to have a long race on his hands. That's potentially a 2-stop coming his way. But yeah, softs to hards might be difficult to do. The hards are a good compound, but can they go as long as they'll need to? It might be a 2-stop for the drivers that begin on the softs. And Casper and Jenga Boy, surely you'd imagine would go medium to hard. The only problem that Jenga Boy and Casper may have is that if they get an early safety car, the hards might not go the distance, which means they need to stop again anyway. But these are all things that you have to figure out as they happen. It's not something you can pre-plan for, a safety car or a red flag. You just have to take what the F1 gods give you. And the F1 gods have given Bevesser pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix, the 29th different driver to be on pole in Dive Bomb Sports. And that is the number that Bevesser races under. So, a good omen. He'll be wanting to become a winner. We've got the lights on the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. And we're away. It was a good start from Casper Klein, but not quite as good as Bevesser's. He gets into the first corner ahead just at the moment. And the top 5, as you were. We'll get the tyres up as we begin the second lap. And it seems to be, other than James and Jake at the back, everyone is as you were. Scottish Goat round the outside of Chris in the Audi, who is on the hard compounded tyres, so needs to get those tyres warmed up. And it looks like Deck might be next to try and pounce on the slow going Audi at the beginning of this Grand Prix. Kaya looking racy as well at the beginning of this as they begin to go through the Degna 1 and Degna 2. There's a car off, and that was Lewis Craig in the gravel there on his soft compounded tyres. Didn't see what happened to Lewis, but he's down 5 places, not happy with that. Kaya down the inside of Deck and almost took the Ferrari out. What a late lunge that was from Kaya. Deck not going to be happy with that, but does get back past. And Lewis will be disappointed to go into Degna 1 that early in the race, and now all that hard work in qualifying basically nullified because he's got to get through Scottish Goat, Daniel, Cam K and Evil Dragon and Cam Rules. Not an easy task. Jenga Boy within striking distance of the top 2. Casper though on those mediums needs to get them to go as long as he possibly can in this Grand Prix, and someone that needs his tyres to go a long way into this Grand Prix is Bevesser. on the soft compound. He needs those tyres to last. He's going defensive early. This is a move for the race lead at the moment. And Casper trying to make that move, but not able to do so early. The Mercedes need to work together. I know it's only round 2 and you want to win the Grand Prix, but you need to work as a unit. You've got the track position at the moment on the Red Bull, whose teammates all the way down in 14th. Work together early on in this phase of the Grand Prix and try and get a win over Casper Klein. Jenga Boy obviously should have won in Britain, but ran out of fuel. The Ferraris are swapping places. Daniel's dropped a few places on that Sector 1 on his lap. Lewis Craig got past Scottish Goat, I've seen as well, who's now dropped back. And Lewis Craig back up into 8th after starting 5th. He needs to get a move on to get back where he was. And it looks like Jake has had a wee moment. And he's all the way down in 15th place. Oh, and it looked like the Ferraris almost swiped each other. Deck and Daniel battling away, forgetting maybe that their teammates, giving us a Lewis and Leclerc sort of battle from China. And Deck maybe forcing the Alpine off there and up into 9th place. And that might allow his teammate to get through as well on the back of up to 130 and it looks like Jenga Boy's got past Casper there into the Casio Triangle, and the Mercedes working together like we maybe mentioned, but Casper should be able to come back at the first of the 2 Mercedes drivers. Jordan in the pits early doors. Calm Rules sets the fastest lap on his mediums. Jenga Boy moved to the right, and he only made 1 move, so it wasn't illegal, and he was okay to do that, as we'll get the tyres up and the telemetry. So it's Professor in the lead of the Grand Prix. On the softs, he's got Jenga Boy, his teammate, behind on the mediums. You've got Casper behind him on the mediums as well. Cameron's done a good job to hang on to these guys in the Cadillac on the mediums as well. Then you've got K-Mam on the hards. Evil Dragon, Lewis Craig on the softs. Deck on the mediums, Daniel on the softs. Scottish Goat, your top 10 on the mediums as well. Yeah, we'll get rid of the tyres. It takes up a lot of the screen. Dash and Kaya battling away. Kaya seems to have gone off track, and it's allowed Tony to sneak through. And Calm Rules just losing touch with this battle, but Casper and Jenga Boy just picking up where they left off last time out in Silverstone, swapping positions every single lap it seemed to be, and Casper's back ahead into the spoon curve, and now Jenga Boy's in prime position, and we can see for the first time really in the Grand Prix the boost being active, and that has allowed Jenga Boy back through. And I think this sort of DLC update is going to cause a lot of commentators some voice problems come the end of their Grand Prix, and he might now be on the back of his teammate here. We're on board with Jenga Boy, the man that won Japan last season. He now takes the race lead for only a split second as Professor goes back round the outside, as his tyres are hanging on well at the moment. Professor, he's not sailing away into the sunset, but he's got some good speed in traction in the corners at the moment. We'll see how long that can last. And Jenga Boy looking to get past his teammate and maybe saying, look teammate, hold up Casper behind. They're side by side maybe into Decna 1, and Professor has the back out, and we've got a new race leader for the first time in the Japanese Grand Prix on lap 4, and now Professor, whose tyres are going to be going off fairly quickly, has the role now of becoming Valtteri Bottas and just sticking ahead of Casper, or if he gets past, he needs to try get back past and just cause him to lose as much time as he possibly can. But here comes Casper now, got a run, he's got the boost active, and he should go round the outside of Spoon, and now Professor starting to fall, but Professor sticks it up the inside again. Not quite able to make the move, and he doesn't have the boost that Casper has available to him. We'll see if this means he can make a move into the Casio Triangle. Calm Rules though, look at him all over the back of these guys. Professor is ahead going into the Casio Triangle and gets past Casper. Casper may be going to complain about that later on, but it looked fairly clean as Calm Rules now getting involved in this battle for second place. They're 3 wide on the start-finish straight, and this is exactly what Jenga Boy wants to see. It's Mercedes, Cadillac and Red Bull, but the Red Bull's trying everything in his power to stay ahead of the Cadillac, and he does. What an opening 4 laps we've had to this Japanese Grand Prix. And if this is anything to go by, it's not going to calm down. And someone that was enjoying this, and his engineer might be telling him this is good for his Grand Prix, is Cam K-Mam. He finished second in the opening round. He's on the hards. He's slower than everyone at the moment, but he's not dropping back enough to where he's in striking distance. And Lewis Craig, fantastic drive, by the way. I know drivers ahead have been battling as they're side by side into the hairpin. Now Professor hangs on, but surely another move into Spoon, or before Spoon, for the Red Bull and a Mercedes. Lewis Craig, the drivers ahead have been battling, but he's getting back in this battle to maybe be going for an undercut. Casper ahead now. Bevesser has overtake at his disposal on this lap. Not got... Well, the batteries are close, but he's running pretty low. And now Casper is getting into the clutches of Jengaboy, and Cam Rules is getting dropped ever so slightly. Is 1.1 seconds to the leader, but he's in the battle for the boost mode as Cam Rules getting even closer to getting that boost, which he so dearly needs, and that would help his hard compound out massively. Look at the speed Casper's got closing in to the Mercedes out in front. This race hopefully is going to be a race-long battle. When will the soft drivers come into pit? It looks like, going off the gaps, Bevesser's softs may be gone already. But with battling ahead, he might just be able to hang on. He's not losing too much time, actually. I think the gaps on the screen are a bit more than the actual gaps between the cars. And now into the first dig. Now Casper had a wee look, maybe just trying to off-put Jengaboy. Jengaboy, no boost for the last 2 laps. And that is allowing Casper to be right on his engine cover. He's got a lot more battery to the Red Bull, and just biding his time. Casper's place seems to be get a good exit, get the battery up to 100%, use the boost and into Spoon or before Spoon if you can. Get the move, and here come the 2 contenders for the championship now, battling away, and Jengaboy hangs on. Good driving from the pair of them, and this allows Professor and Cam Rules to stay involved in this battle. Cam K-Mam 2.4 behind. He's picked up 5 tenths this lap. Lewis Craig has closed in a second to Cam on the last lap, and we've got a change for the lead, and it's the 3rd race leader we've had this Grand Prix, and it's the Red Bull now ahead, who is going to not have overtaken. Now Jengaboy's going to have it on this next lap, but it's a bit of a tank slapper out of the final bit of the Casio triangle, and that might allow Casper to be safe on this lap. And Gamer James is in the wall, is he? Yeah, he's in the wall, I believe, there, and that might be a safety car. On board with Jengaboy to see if we can see the screens, not just yellow flags. Lewis Craig into the pits on his soft tyres. Maybe seen the yellow flag and thought, this is the chance you need to take. Might potentially be a VSC coming. But it's not seemed to work that way, but his tyres probably have gone anyway. 7 laps on the soft compound, not helping the car at that phase. And Professor seems to be feeling the effect of that as well. He's dropping from the top 2 and might be deciding in the next few moments that this is the time for a stop. And with Lewis Craig only being 3 seconds adrift, I know the undercut, you're sort of looking at 1.5 to 2 seconds to be effective. If you're battling with a car and you're only 3 seconds up the road, if Lewis Craig comes out in no traffic, which he has done, he's come out behind Jordan, he might be in trouble. And Cam Rules now ahead of Bevesser, and that might be the indication that it's time for those soft compounded tyres to be put back to Pirelli. And we're watching Jengaboy on Casper now. Casper leading the way. It took him 6 laps to get in the lead. And then the Mercedes drivers may need to think of some strategy options to get ahead. And Bevesser, an undercut here would definitely put him ahead of Casper, barring any incidents, and he stays out. Going long, maybe trying to get into a sort of pit window where if he boxes, the hards would get him to the end. And Chris has had a moment, and now Scottish Goat is on Dash's back. Evil Dragon and Dash and Scottish Goat and Chris all very close together. And here comes Scottish Goat on Evil Dragon, not able to do anything there. Now Tony and Jake battling away. Tony obviously won the Miami Grand Prix in DBF1. Jake's picked up a few podiums in DBF1 in the past, mainly when the Pace Cup was in, but a strong, talented driver is Jake. It is hard for these guys, Tony and Jake. Obviously, multiple podiums, a race win for Tony. They've been in constructors' fights, but a DBF1, the pace has just picked up again compared to what it was on F124, and it's the evolution of the league's just getting difficult to maintain, to keep the gap between the top and the midfield at any competitive sort of regulation, but we are always thankful to the drivers for racing, and Lewis and Jordan battling away for position now on medium compound tire. Jordan boxed early and Lewis is now ahead as the gap is now opened over a second out in front. And Lewis Craig on Kaya now, you'd imagine should get the move done, shouldn't make any contact really, and Lewis is now ahead and needs to stay ahead using the boost to try get away from Kai, who's got no battery. So you imagine Jordan should be next up to make that move. Evil Dragon in the pits now. So we'll see the first pit stop of the night that we will witness, and then the Aston pit crew will get him serviced, and that is a set of mediums to the softs. It did show softs, but I'm pretty sure Evil Dragon started their Grand Prix on the mediums. And he goes to the soft compound of tyres. So it's definitely a two-stop for the Aston crew. And someone like Evil Dragon, this will be his race where obviously he's only raced in Dive Bomb Sports in the Gran Turismo season that we did. He's not raced in F1, so, and then not raced on F1 for a long time to my knowledge. So this will be a learning experience mainly sort of this season, and especially the first few races. So two stopping, and the top 14 score points. So picking up some points will be good, and just getting a feel for all the compounds and acknowledging how the tyres work and what's the best way to go about managing your race is all he really needs to do in these first 4 or 5 Grand Prix. Professor now staying out. So this is lap 9 on that compound of tyre for him. He's doing a fantastic job, and yeah, letting everyone know how good those softs can go, how long they can last. And you can probably imagine that he's either hoping for a safety car and going hard to the end, or the plan is just to go until the softs can't go and then go onto the hards, because there's no point to stopping, especially if you're on the hunt for a podium. And he's definitely on the hunt for a podium, and someone that's definitely on the hunt for a podium is Cam Rules. He dropped back on Jenga Boy. He's back within striking distance. Jenga Boy struggling with tyre. He lost the boost, maybe. Sorry, he did lose the boost on Casper, and once that boost was gone, Casper's just sailed off into the sunset. But what we need to watch out for, the fuel lights are on the top 2, and that is something that the drivers were caught out last week on. You'd imagine now that they've experienced it once, they won't do it again, but they need to fuel save at some point in this Grand Prix, hoping for a safety car, maybe the top 2. We'll have to keep an eye out for maybe some lifting and coasting later on tonight. And Scottish Goat is the closest driver to making a move. He's got the boost, he'll have straight mode active, and that Audi is looking very vulnerable in 8th position for the time being. And the Audi just not quite able to make a move, and Professor is now in the pits. Cam Rules closing up but not able to make a move. And now here comes the Scottish Goat. 8th place, might be about to come 6th if he can get the move. Not quite got the straight line speed, not using that overtake boost mode. Saving the battery and just managing the tyres. He's going to have to come into the pit soon. Scottish Goat and Chris managing the race well. Cam K managing his race well as well. He started on the hards. He took the risk of there not being an early safety car. It's paid off. He got through the field, avoided all the drama, and yes, he's not really within striking distance of a Casper or a Jenga Boy or even Cam Rules. But he's got a great opportunity on the tyre deficit that he'll have later on in the night to maybe mount a challenge for another podium or at least a top 5. And the man sitting second in the driver's standings, looking good at the moment. It's a bit of no man's land. He's got to pump in the work and pump in the lap times here at this phase of the race and just keep consistent. But if he can have a good few 2 or 3 laps, he's going to be in a good position. As I think Acorn has just passed Evil Dragon coming out of the hairpin, and Daniel Piwionet's done the same to Kaya. And Scottish Goat is really close now to the back of Chris, but just doesn't seem to be able to get ahead. And Chris has got no battery, and whereas Scottish Goat has 50, now 60. You just see how quickly the battery recovers, but then you just see how quickly it all dumps out as Scottish Goat now comes into the pits. But there's no one really close to making a move, so we'll see the Alpine pit crew at work. Mediums off, hards on, predictable and easy, and that's what you like when you're a Formula 1 driver. You just want the car and the strategy to be easy and work in your favour. Scottish Goat now, hard laps coming his way to pump in the lap times. Professor, hard compound to the end. That's what we imagined for him, and what he needs now is no safety car to come out in the next 5 to 6 laps. He needs the drivers that are on the mediums to box before anything happens. And then this is his phase in the Grand Prix that he needs to make count. He needs to come out ahead of everyone ahead of him at the moment. And then manage the Grand Prix from there. Good race for the driver that was on pole. 4th when he boxed, but we'll see what it is when all the drivers stop. Dash having a good race as well. He started 17th position. And he's up into 5th. Obviously, drivers have pitted, but had very good lap times and a couple of wins in the top tier. And Calm Rules has actually passed Jenga Boy somewhere. I've missed that. And the Cadillac gets stopped, and the pit stops obviously here. Sorry, the pit boxes are reversed, aren't they? So Cadillac gets in and service. Now Jenga Boy has got a lot of work that Mercedes needs to do to get him out ahead. It's the hard compounded tyre, but he's behind. The Cadillac is ahead. Calm Rules. What a Grand Prix this has been for him, as Professor's there on your picture, out ahead. That is crucial, but he's not out ahead enough to maybe get out ahead of Casper Klein. Hard work coming his way as Chris in the Audi is in 4th place. This could be very crucial for Calm's race. Can the Audi of Chris, as he comes through the angled, banked S curve, hang on to position and just ruin the night for the Mercedes and the Cadillac team, and hang on and try and cost these guys a bit of time and help out his teammate? They're struggling to get past the Audi. Professor looking down the inside, not able to do so. This is critical moments in the Grand Prix for these drivers, and what way will it go? Will it help Mercedes? It's not looking likely at the moment. Chris doing a fantastic job, but he's got no battery or overtake. You can see the Christmas tree on his rear wing blinking away. The Audi is harvesting at this time. The leader pits. And I tell you what, Professor could be in trouble here. If he doesn't get past, he might have Calm Rules all over the back of them. Straight mode is the only thing he's got to get past. They're side by side through 130R. Oh, what a move this will be from Professor. If he can get it round the outside, that will turn to the inside in the Casino Triangle. And I tell you what, Chris is doing everything he can as Calm Rules goes wide, and that allows Jenga Boy through on the inside. And they get to the start-finish straight now. Casper's miles ahead of them, coming out of the pit lane. Oh, and there's a Mercedes off Professor. Half spin it. He's got him back going again. Lost a few places, but he's back going. And Jenga Boy, 8 seconds adrift to Casper Klein now. He needs a safety car for his Grand Prix. And Chris has just been the corkscrew in the bottle here. It's been fantastic driving as Calm gets past now. And now Professor, who got past and then is now going to have to get back past the Audi, and this is working fantastically for Calm. Calm came up. Surely Audi are on that pit wall going box, 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 box to the American driver that's leading the Grand Prix. won't come out ahead of these guys, but this is going to get him so close. He can't really afford these drivers to set lap times now that will make it even harder, and this mediums will go to the end. And we'll go to Calm. Surely the team have been on the radio to tell him to pit. No, he's staying out, and I won't say it's a mistake yet, but I would have come in. The drama on that lap is just giving you a bit of a helping hand. And then Casper Klein will see what it is to the leader. It's about 8 to 9 seconds. Jenga Boy sets the fastest lap, but he's going to need 13 fastest laps to have any sort of a chance of winning this Grand Prix now. But his light's gone on his fuel mode. Casper isn't. But he's in the position now where he kind of can't afford to fuel save. It might maybe put him under pressure late on in the race, depending on how much he needs to. Jenga Boy's flickering. His is going on and off, so he's on the limit. Casper, obviously we're not aware of what his limit is, but he is definitely under it a lot more than Jenga Boy is. As Chris and Bavesser are battling away through the deck this time. Bavesser just can't get past, and look who's in the rear picture now. Lewis Craig, who's right in on this battle on the mediums, and the only thing for Lewis is realistically he's probably going to have to stop again. Bavesser now, he's in the ground. He can't get past the Audi. The Audi is putting on a defensive performance for the ages. The man that won the Monaco Grand Prix in DBF2 had the advantage of the walls helping him defend. There's no walls helping him defend here, but he's definitely putting on a clinic. This is Baza-esque performance. And the man that was on pole, that had a chance to win this Grand Prix, did the hard work, got ahead, then got ahead of Chris after drama. Had a half spin at turn one and hasn't able to get past since. And Jenga Boy and Cam are off into the sunset now. And surely this is the moment. Cam goes all the way to the right though. Sorry, Chris. And Bavesser does get past. And entertaining driving from the pair of them. But I think that one might have a few Discord messages come the end of the session. And yeah, Chris has got damage on that front wing. That's a 15-second pit stop coming his way. Casper taking 3 seconds out of Cam K Mam, so Cam K surely now is the time to box. Or does this man feel that this Grand Prix is going to bring out a safety car and help him out a wee bit as Lewis Craig now gets past Chris into the hairpin? He found it a bit easier than Bavesser did. Both drivers most likely going to have to stop again. I think the only two drivers that haven't stopped are the Audis, and that is correct, and Dash, who's in third. And Lewis Craig, bit of defending to do potentially here from Chris. As they go to 130R, I imagine the downforce, yeah, trying to defend from Chris doesn't really have much to defend with, so Lewis needs to try and break that overtake, but obviously Chris has to box. Cam is in the pit, so that means Chris probably won't box this time, and then Lewis just wants away from that battle with Chris and comes into the pit lane. He'll be behind his teammate is Cam K, but in 7th place. A net P5. Tyre deficit in his favour. Another top 5 finish for the man in 2nd place in the constructors, the drivers championship, just what he requires. And he's on his way to a good result again here in round number 2. The only American that DBF1 has ever had, and to the best of my knowledge. And he's doing them proud. Jenga Boy on the back of Dash now, who has got no life in those tyres, and you can see there, because Jenga Boy absolutely sails past. There's a wee wave in the cockpit. Thank you very much. I'm up into P2, and then Jenga Boy, he'll be disappointed to be 10 seconds back of Casper, I'd imagine. And especially when you mounted a challenge, when the battery obviously wasn't really much used because it was wet, that might have helped him stay close to Casper. And obviously no Kieran here to sort of be in the fight as well. There's someone that should have won in Britain, only finishing 4th. Second will be a welcome invitation to him. And it'll put him second in the drivers' standings come the end of the night. .15 points in his favour already as the Audi swap positions and a bit of synchronised swimming into turn 1. Yeah, I'll put him second in the drivers. 15 points scored for 4th place last week. 21 points scored this week. Not a bad start to the season, but when you have the opportunity to beat Casper, obviously that's not been there tonight in the second phase of this race. It was there though in round 1. You really need to take the opportunity of that, because if you don't, it just means that he's racks up the points, and Casper Klein going to be on 50 points come the end of this night, whereas Jenga Boy is going to be in 36, so 14 points the buffer. As Lewis Craig gets past Scottish Goat with ease, he's gone soft, medium, medium as his strategy, and then the tyres probably had life taken out of him with his trip into the gravel. But Lewis obviously not done much driving on the game since the end of DBF1 last season. This season is just about learning the 26 cars and enjoying the experience and aiming for the 1000th point that he's 69 points away from, and that 30th podium. If he can get that, obviously not looking likely that to get his 28th tonight, but 27 podiums to his name. 3 away from 30, only driver to be anywhere close to 30. And 1,000 points would be some achievement if he can do that. He needs another 69. He's on his way for a few more tonight to close that distance. And we're always thankful to the younger brother for showing up every week and hosting the lobby this season in Baz's retirement. And on his way to well and truly becoming, if not the greatest driver to never win a title, to certainly being that way. It's been a long time since season 37 of TGP2 and achieving glory. Someone that almost achieved glory last season in DBF2 was Dick. He missed out on the Drivers' Championship to his old friend Jacob. And he's on the back of Dash, who's got... I don't think Dash has stopped. Dash has stopped, yeah. So Dash will have a bit of a tyre offset in his advantage, but Dick going to try and make it difficult. Jenga Boy picked up a time penalty there, which means he is under pressure now from Calm Rules. 6 tenths the gap with 8 laps to go. Calm Rules could be on for a second, and he shouldn't be under pressure from his teammate, but it might end up being that way. His teammate is more under that pressure from Calm. K, who's 2.7 behind with 8 laps to go on the good rubber. Dash sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, no bonus point for that. But the only sort of battle we've really got on the track at any sort of level is this one for 13th place. The final 2 points paying positions, Daniel P. Wheelner and Evil Dragon. Battling for 13th place. Jake, 10 seconds up the road, so I think there's been a bit of drama for these two drivers. And Evil Dragon now, you'd imagine with this run, should get past the Ferrari quite easily, but he's got no battery, and Daniel has 46 battery, but he's harvesting and pulls away, does the Ferrari driver. So good job from Daniel managing that battery. The experience that he has over Evil Dragon over the last 5 years of Grand Prix League Racing driving, just showing there, 70% battery. Evil trying to save it, but it's just not happening at the moment, and if he can't save it, this will allow Daniel to stay ahead. Jenga Boy looks to have upped the pace in the last sector or so, picked up a 10th there, and that means that he breaks away from the time penalty. Calm Rules, obviously on for a podium still. but maybe not second place. It'll be his first DBF1 podium in his first ever DBF1 race. Fantastic drive from the Cadillac. The Cadillac has been very impressive this season. Obviously, Cam didn't race last week. Tony, 10th place. He was sick for a lot of the Grand Prix. Obviously, 11th after the stewards decision. Down in 15th. It's not been his sort of Grand Prix tonight, but it was a good race last time out, and a fantastic race this time out, as Evil is past Daniel now, and Daniel is going to come back at the Aston Martin driver. They're side by side through the Casio Triangle. Daniel pulls out of the move, and that might give him the boost and some overtake with straight mode. That might allow him in the Ferrari to close the gap. He does close it, but it's not enough to make the move as Jake is into the pits. It must be for a new set of tyres. It is, not to retire from the Grand Prix. No safety car like we had in Britain. And well, we're just getting to sort of a phase of the Grand Prix now where there's so much gaps that it's not really interesting to watch any battles. Cam is closing. He's found 5 tenths on the last lap to Bevesser, so it might be 4 or 5 laps striking distance for a move for 4th place. But it's one thing to get behind a driver, it's another to pass them. Chris in the back of Scottish Goat. Chris has got a lot fresher tyres. He's very close now, and he's made a few moves already into 130R tonight, and he boxed but didn't change the wing. He decided to stick with it and work his way with that wing damage. He's in the top 10. He's looking for at least 9th position. Be a long way to go to catch Lewis from here. Someone that struggled is Jordan. He stopped twice like Lewis. He had a good qualifying, but he struggled in the Grand Prix. Jordan, he's just dropped from 4th to 11th, and we'll be disappointed with that, but here comes Daniel now. Boost mode used for a little while, and that just allows him to sail past Evil Dragon. But Evil Dragon going to come back at him, loops round the outside of turn 1 and 2, and yeah, keeps the place. Daniel trying his best. I think Daniel P. Whelan has wing damage. Yeah, he's missing an end plate there. Struggling through the corners where downforce is required. Lewis Craig, 1.2 behind Deck, trying his best to go from 8th to 7th place. Deck, though, a lot more battery to play with, as Casper Klein now at 15, almost 15 seconds in the lead. It just shows you the gap between the top man, the defending champion. Never had a champion defend the crown. But he's off to a fantastic start. We'll see how his other 10 Grand Prix go. We've still got 4 laps to go, so he needs to at least keep it in between the white lines and not DNF, and he should be good. And there goes Daniel on Evil Dragon again. This has been the last few laps brewing, and Daniel now back ahead for the time being, as Lewis now through the S's within a second of Deck in the Ferrari, who has 1 stopped. Lewis is 2 stopped, so has a lot quicker tyres, more grip on his 4 wheels compared to Deck as they go through the Degnas, and he closes right up as Evil Dragon now loops round the outside of turn number 1 with overtake enabled. That car must have felt horrible through that turn 1 and 2, but he does get ahead, and Daniel, at least they're having fun back there for the final couple of points. Good on them for keeping going and keeping the racing honest, and Lewis is now right in the back of Deck, and this is the battle for 7th place. This is the 55th Grand Prix of Deck's DBF1 career. This was the 50th Grand Prix of Gamer James's career, but he's DNF'd earlier on in the night. I think he had contact at 130R, and I'm not sure what happened after that. And now Lewis, this should be a slam dunk. Not quite as slam dunk as he would have liked. He's in the slipstream again, and Deck goes to the right hand side. And there's been a few feisty moments between the drivers, Lewis and Deck. Two very solid drivers, and Deck knows Lewis gives as much as he takes, so whatever Deck does, Lewis is going to do back to him. And I don't think Deck did anything wrong, but Lewis still went for it anyway, and Deck did the respectful thing and moved back to the left once he went right. Good driving from the pair of them. Entertaining driving as well. And now with the clean air and a lot fresher rubber, you'd imagine Lewis should peel away. And someone that is struggling now is Cam came up. Maybe made a mistake, but he's falling into the clutches. He's not really. I think Kai is actually the visa that's behind Cam. But Cam might have made a mistake because he was on the back of Bevester by about 2 seconds. It's now 3.2. So unless maybe those mediums have just started to go off, which is possible, or he's made a mistake somewhere. It looks like another top 5 finish though for the Audi, which he'll be very thankful for. And his team will be thankful as well for the 12 points that he's going to score for their constructors' hopes. And 21 points last week, 12 points this week. Finish in the top 6 and get those double-digit point scores. Haul them in for the 12 rounds of the season, and you'll be very happy. And it looks like Tony is close to making a move on Evil Dragon. He's caught up to the battle with Daniel P. Wheelnut and Evil Dragon because of the battling they've had. Can Tony improve on his 1 point that he's currently scoring? But the gap will quickly run through. Next time out, on the 8th of July, we have got the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And that's next week, round 3 to come. Canada, following that, then we've got Austria, then we've got Madrid. That's going to be the first new track on the calendar. Monaco after that, then we've got Monza, which will be 100% Grand Prix, by the way. And Monaco, everyone scores 2 bonus points if they finish the Grand Prix. So you finish last and finish the race, you'll get 2 points, whether that's 22nd. So you have to go to the end, really. Singapore, Brazil. Then we have Belgium in the penultimate round. That at the moment is done as 100%, but a few of the drivers have raised concerns about that being 100%. So the 100% Spa Grand Prix is being reviewed if we should keep it. And there might be a wee tester race to see how long it will take. Monza, we're happy with the 100% there. And the season finale will be Abu Dhabi. And hopefully there'll be a championship battle. It doesn't look like there's going to be one, though, if Casper Klein has this sort of pace. Kieran obviously not here tonight doesn't help the pace factor. But 17 seconds adrift, and I have seen Kai, as I mentioned him, in the chat. Not really happy with Bevester. Battling his teammate and holding him up, and costing Mercedes the opportunity at the win. Might not have won the race, but it definitely would have been closer if there wasn't so many battles at the beginning. I think Casper had this race in the bag regardless, but it would definitely not be the 18 seconds that it's currently sitting at. Casper Klein not in any fuel trouble, it seems. And it's just 18 seconds up the road from his nearest challenger, and unfortunately it's just that gap that he's got at the moment on the field. He was under pressure last week in the rain when the battery wasn't really at play, but this week it's been a factor and he's managed it brilliantly. Mercedes, as Kai mentioned, they've not helped each other out, but would that have mattered in hindsight? Not sure. We'll have to wait and see what Kai can bring to the table in Saudi Arabia when we go to Jeddah next week. A week from today, a 7:30 start on the stream. Make sure you're here and subscribe to check out the Grand Prix coming. And yeah, these drivers now coming on to their last lap as Casper has halfway round his last lap. Where is Casper Klein? He's actually coming round the final couple of corners now to win the Japanese Grand Prix. What a performance from the defending champion yet again. He wins in DBF1 and is so close to defending that championship that no one's been able to do. Fantastic drive from the Finnish driver. Jenga Boy is going to pick up second place. It's been a good drive from himself. He won't be too happy being that far back, but it's second place. Cam Rules finishes in third. Bevesser fourth. Cam with another top 5 finish. There's a bit of a wait for Dash, but he's going to be sixth place in his DBF1 debut. Congratulations to him. Then you've got Lewis Craig, 2-stop, the highest of the 2-stoppers. And what could have been if he didn't ditch it into the Dravel at Degna 1. But well done to Lewis Craig in 7th. Deck with another strong performance in the Ferrari in 8th. Chris in his return to the top tier in his debut in the Audi in 9th place. Scottish Goat 10th. But will Jordan be able to sneak past on a penalty? No. And then you've got Daniel, you've got Tony, you've got Evil, and what way this is going to end up, I could not tell you. They're battling until the final whistle here in Suzuka. Looks like Daniel is going to finish 12th place, and it looks like Tony will hang on to 13th. But will the penalties affect it? It looks like Tony keeps 13th position. Yeah, you can see on his steering wheel there that he finished 13th place. What a Grand Prix. Not much happening at the front after the pit stops. Mercedes maybe shooting themselves in the foot a wee bit, but you can't really tell. That man was just so fast. Casper climbed 50 points to open the season. And well, do we have the first ever 2-time champion in 14 seasons? We've had 13 seasons of Dive Bomb. 13 different champions. We've never had a 2-time champion, never mind back-to-back. Is the Red Bull driver going to be able to do so, or can someone mount a challenge to him? We'll just have to come back and find out next week at Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. And we'll see you all for that. We'll run through the order on the screen. I'm not going to go through it all again and say it, but I'll show everyone how the night ended. Gamer James, the only driver not to finish the Grand Prix. Evil Dragon on his debut picked up a point. Cam Rules on the podium. Dash in 6th place. Chris in 9th. What a Grand Prix it was. Well done to Casper Klein for picking up another Grand Prix victory. That is race 115 done. We have only got 10 rounds to go until this championship is complete. Who will be the DBF1 champion? You'll just have to come back to find out. I've been JackCraig28. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week live for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.